God is about to bless you. Pay close attention to these 7 powerful signs. Wait. Chosen one, do not scroll past this moment as if it is ordinary, because your presence here is not accidental. What you are about to hear may explain the strange pressure, the sudden losses, the delayed answers, and the silent battles that have been surrounding your life. If you leave too early, you may miss the hidden key at the end of this message, the final secret that reveals why your path has felt so heavy and why God allowed certain things to be stripped away before the blessing appeared. Look at your life honestly. A career that feels stuck, finances that seem locked, relationships that once felt safe but now feel fragile, nights when your mind keeps turning, asking why the same doors keep closing and why the same burden keeps returning. Do not mistake this season for punishment. What feels like loss may actually be a holy clearing. What feels like delay may be divine timing. What feels like rejection may be God protecting the promise before it reaches your hands. The old space cannot hold the new oil. The old chains cannot enter the new door. Before visible breakthrough, there is often hidden preparation. And before God raises someone, He first separates, refines, and awakens them. Scripture shows this pattern again and again. Abraham had to leave the familiar land before he could step into the promise. David faced the wilderness before the throne. Joseph endured the pit before the palace. And in the spirit of C.S. Lewis's Christian writings, the soul often learns its deepest dependence on God when human strength finally runs out and comfort can no longer keep it asleep. That is why this warning is also an invitation. Heaven is calling you to pay attention, not because your life is falling apart, but because a divine shift is beginning underneath what you can see. Stay until the end, because each sign will uncover a piece of the blueprint, and the final secret will show you how to receive what God is preparing without dragging the past into your appointed season. So open your heart, silence every distraction, and listen closely, because the first sign may already be burning inside you. The first sign that God is about to bless you is this: heaven feels silent. But the delay is not denial. Chosen one, pay attention to this season, because this is where many people almost give up right before the divine door begins to open. You have prayed, you have waited, you have tried to stay faithful while carrying pressure no one could fully see. Maybe your finances still feel tight. Maybe your work still feels blocked. Maybe your family still feels tense. Maybe your body is tired. Your mind is restless. And your future looks like a locked gate with no visible key. But do not let fear interpret the silence for you. Silence is not abandonment. Waiting is not rejection. The fact that nothing has visibly changed does not mean God is doing nothing. Sometimes He holds back the breakthrough because He is strengthening the person who must carry it. A cracked cup cannot hold a flood. A restless soul cannot guard a kingdom. That is why this delay is not wasted ground. It is hidden preparation. Scripture says in Isaiah 60:22, "When the time is right, the Lord, will make it happen." Not when anxiety demands it. Not when comparison embarrasses you. Not when people ask why your life has not changed yet. At the appointed time. And appointed time is never late in the hands of God. C.S. Lewis often pointed toward this truth. God may use seasons of pressure to wake the soul from shallow comfort and draw it into deeper dependence. That may be what is happening in your sleepless nights, in the quiet car ride after work, In the moments when bills are waiting, doors are closed, and your heart keeps asking how much longer you can keep believing. But hear this clearly, the gate is not locked forever. Do not run back to old chains because the new door has not opened yet. Do not accept a counterfeit answer just because the real one is taking longer than expected. Keep your heart clean. Keep your spirit awake. Keep your hands open. The delay is testing whether you trust the giver more than the gift. And the reason heaven has not released everything yet may be because your old environment can no longer hold who you are becoming. The second sign that God is about to bless you is this: you no longer fit where you once felt safe. Chosen one, do not treat this feeling lightly, because this is one of the most dangerous thresholds in a spiritual transition. When God is about to move you into a new season, He often begins by making the old place feel unbearable. The room that once comforted you now feels too small. The people who once entertained you now leave your spirit tired. The routines that once gave you a sense of control now feel like invisible chains wrapped around your chest. You wake up, go to work, answer messages, sit with familiar faces, walk through familiar doors. Yet, something inside keeps burning with a terrifying honesty. I cannot stay here anymore. Do not silence that fire. Do not bury it under distraction. Do not call it weakness just because others cannot understand the war happening inside your soul. This discomfort is not random. It may be heaven's urgent warning that your destiny has outgrown your environment. The old ground cannot feed the new seed. The old circle cannot carry the new oil. The old mindset cannot pass through the divine door God is placing before you. That is why staying has started to hurt. That is why comfort has turned into pressure. That is why what once felt safe now feels like spiritual suffocation. God is not trying to confuse you. He is shaking the place that kept you asleep. He is disturbing the soil because your roots were never meant to die in shallow ground. Abraham had to leave the familiar land before he could step into the promise. He did not receive the full map first. He received a call, a command, a holy interruption. And you may be standing in that same kind of moment. You may feel it in your job, where every day drains something sacred out of you. You may feel it in your relationships, where old conversations now sound empty, heavy, and strangely small. You may feel it in your family atmosphere, where you love them, yet your spirit knows you cannot keep living under the same patterns. You may feel it in your private room at night, when everyone else is asleep but your soul is wide awake, wrestling with a hunger for something deeper, cleaner, higher, and more aligned with God's purpose. This is serious because thresholds are not comfortable places. A threshold is where the old fights to keep you and the new calls you forward. If you misread this season, you may run back to the cage simply because it is familiar. You may keep watering ground God has already dried up. You may keep begging for peace in a place where heaven has already lifted grace. Do not do it. Do not betray your becoming just to remain understood by people who are still comfortable in the place God is calling you out of. The discomfort is not proof that you are lost. It may be proof that you are being summoned. Pay attention to what no longer gives you peace. Pay attention to what keeps shrinking your spirit. Pay attention to what God is allowing to feel finished. Because once He begins pulling you out of the old place, He often begins removing the old voices too. The third sign that God is about to bless you is this: isolation is not abandonment, it is protection. Chosen one, when God begins pulling you out of the old place, He often begins removing the old voices too. And this can feel terrifying, because suddenly the people who once stayed close become quiet. Messages slow down. Calls stop coming. The support you expected feels distant. The ones who used to understand you now misunderstand even your silence. You may sit alone at night asking, "What did I do wrong? Why is everyone pulling away? Why does it feel like I am being left behind?" But listen carefully. Not every empty room is a cursed room. Sometimes the empty room is holy. Sometimes God clears the room because the next instruction cannot be heard through the noise of old attachments. Some people were feeding your fear while pretending to protect your heart. Some voices were keeping you small while sounding familiar. Some relationships were connected to the old version of you, but they cannot walk with the person God is raising now. This is serious, because if you panic in isolation, you may chase what heaven is trying to remove. Do not beg for doors God is closing. Do not run back to people just because silence feels uncomfortable. Joseph was separated before he was elevated. David was hidden in lonely fields before the throne found him. Even Jesus withdrew into solitary places before moments of power. Your isolation may be the hidden classroom where God breaks your dependence on approval and teaches you to hear His voice again. So do not collapse under the silence. Let it train your discernment. Let it expose what you were leaning on too heavily. Let it show you which connections were comfort for your emotions but danger for your destiny. If this season has made you feel alone, misunderstood, or set apart, comment, "God is preparing me in the hidden place." Like this video if you believe this isolation is not punishment, and share it with someone who is standing alone but still trying to trust God. Because when you stop depending on the crowd, the darkness often begins to notice your light. The fourth sign that God is about to bless you is this: the opposition against you suddenly increases. Chosen one. This is the moment where the atmosphere around your life may begin to feel heavier, sharper, and more hostile for no clear reason. People misunderstand you more easily. Simple conversations turn tense. Certain doors resist you. Hidden jealousy begins to show itself. Someone may question your motives, twist your words, or treat your growth like a threat. Do not be shocked by this fire. When light begins to rise, darkness reacts. When God starts moving someone toward a new level, resistance often gathers at the threshold. This does not mean you are failing. It may mean you are closer than you realize. David was anointed long before he sat on the throne, but between the oil and the crown came pursuit, pressure, loneliness, and warfare. So, if your name is being challenged, if your peace is being tested, if people who never cared before suddenly seem disturbed by your obedience, stand firm. The enemy does not attack empty ground with this level of urgency. But hear this warning clearly: opposition is not permission to become bitter. Do not let their darkness make you drop your light. Do not answer every accusation. Do not spend your strength proving yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. Your real battle is not only against what is happening around you, it is also about what is happening inside you. Will you keep your heart clean when others act unfairly? Will you keep your spiritual armor on when pressure rises? Will you keep walking when the road feels surrounded? Psalm 23 says that even in the valley of the shadow of death, you do not have to fear evil, because God is with you. That means the valley is not proof that God has left. The valley can become the place where His presence becomes undeniable. So let the arrows fly. But do not surrender your peace. Let the voices rise. But do not abandon your assignment. Let the darkness rage. But do not dim what God placed inside you. If this speaks to your life, comment, "My light will not be destroyed." Share this with someone under pressure but still standing. Because after the battle, God begins to show you why the pain had to happen. The fifth sign that God is about to bless you is this: your pain finally starts making sense. Chosen one. After the silence, after the discomfort, after the isolation, after the opposition, there comes a holy moment when heaven begins to pull back the veil. And suddenly, you see what you could not see while you were crying. You look at the door that closed, and it no longer looks like rejection. You look at the person who walked away, and it no longer feels like the end of your worth. You look at the season that broke your heart, and for the first time, you begin to recognize the hand of God moving underneath the wound. This is not a small realization. This is spiritual awakening. This is the moment when the darkness that once confused you begins to lose its power. Because revelation enters the room. The betrayal that nearly destroyed you exposed what love had made you blind to. The delay that embarrassed you protected you from stepping into something too early. The rejection that humiliated you may have been heaven shutting a door before it became a prison. The loss that made you feel empty may have been God cutting away what would have poisoned your future. Do you understand how serious this is? Some things did not leave your life because you were cursed. They left because your destiny could not survive if they stayed. Some people did not disappear because you were unworthy. They disappeared because they were attached to a version of you that God was burying. Some opportunities did not fail because God was against you. They failed because they were too small for the blueprint heaven had written over your life. And now, something inside you starts trembling, not with fear, but with recognition. You remember the nights you begged God for an answer. You remember sitting in silence, trying to hold your mind together while your heart was falling apart. You remember asking, "Why did you allow this? Why did you not stop them? Why did you let me lose what I loved?" And now, slowly, painfully, beautifully, God begins to answer without needing to explain every detail. He shows you protection hidden inside disappointment. He shows you mercy hidden inside delay. He shows you preparation hidden inside pain. See, Lewis once expressed a powerful Christian truth in The Problem of Pain. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. And now you understand why the shout was so loud. God was not trying to crush you. He was awakening the part of you that comfort could never reach. He was breaking false security. He was pulling your heart away from people, positions, approval, money, and perfect circumstances as your foundation. He was teaching you that if everything around you shakes, your soul must still have a rock beneath it. This is where your scar becomes testimony. This is where your shame loses its throne. This is where the story you hated becomes the evidence that God never left. Do not go back to confusion. Do not romanticize what God removed. Do not reopen the wound just because loneliness knocks again. Stand in the revelation. Let it burn. Let it heal. Let it rewrite the meaning of your past. Your pain is becoming wisdom. Your tears are becoming oil. Your closed doors are becoming proof of divine protection. And when your eyes open like this, the life that once felt frozen can suddenly begin to move with divine acceleration. The sixth sign that God is about to bless you is this breakthrough acceleration begins. Chosen one. After your pain starts making sense, after the veil lifts, after you stop seeing your past only as a graveyard of losses and begin seeing it as a map of divine protection, something around your life can suddenly begin to move. Not slowly, not naturally, not according to the old rhythm that exhausted you. Suddenly, there is motion. Suddenly, the door that would not open begins to shift. Suddenly, the person you needed to meet appears in a way you could not arrange. Suddenly, the opportunity you thought had passed starts circling back with new favor. Suddenly, the provision you were praying for begins to find a path through places you never expected. This is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is divine acceleration. This is what happens when the hidden preparation reaches its appointed time. For a long season, you may have felt behind. You watched others move forward while you were still fighting private battles. You watched people celebrate what you were still praying for. You saw doors open for them while you stood before your own closed gate, wondering if your time would ever come. But do not call yourself forgotten. Do not call yourself late. God was not wasting your years. He was deepening your roots. A tree that must survive strong winds cannot have shallow roots. A vessel that must carry abundance cannot remain fragile. A soul that is about to step into visible breakthrough must first be trained in invisible faith. Isaiah 60:22 declares, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." And when God says it is time, no closed door, no jealous voice, no old delay, no hidden opposition can stop what He commands to move. The years that looked barren can begin producing fruit. The season that looked frozen can begin melting with holy fire. The prayers that seemed unanswered can begin returning as evidence that heaven heard every word. But listen carefully, because acceleration carries responsibility. When things begin to move quickly, do not lose the humility you learned in the wilderness. Do not let success awaken the ego that God spent so long crucifying. Do not use the blessing to impress people who once ignored you. Do not rush into every open door just because you are tired of waiting. Some doors are divine. Some are distractions dressed like breakthrough. You will need discernment. You will need prayer. You will need the same quiet obedience that carried you through the hidden season. Because the goal is not merely to rise. The goal is to rise without losing your soul. This acceleration may touch your work, your finances, your relationships, your calling, your influence, even the direction of your future. Restoration may begin arriving in pieces. Then suddenly, all at once, what took years to break may begin healing faster than you expected. What looked impossible may become strangely reachable. And when it happens, remember this: it was God who carried you through the delay. God who kept you in the fire. God who opened the door at the appointed time. Stay humble. Stay awake. Stay surrendered. Because the greatest proof of blessing is not speed around you, it is peace within you. The seventh sign that God is about to bless you is this: your soul becomes quiet before your circumstances completely change. Chosen one. This is the deepest sign, and it may be the most sacred one of all, because many people only recognize blessing when something outside them moves. But God often begins the greatest miracle in the hidden chambers of the heart. The money may not all be in your hands yet. The family conflict may not be fully healed yet. The job may not have shifted yet. The door may not be completely open yet. But inside you, something has changed. The storm that used to control your thoughts begins to lose its authority. The fear that used to wake you in the night no longer has the same grip. The need to explain yourself, defend yourself, prove yourself, and force people to understand your heart begins to fade. You are not becoming cold, You are becoming free. You are not giving up. You are surrendering. This is the holy stillness that comes when God has built a throne inside you before He places a kingdom around you. Before, you may have checked your phone for validation. You may have replayed conversations until your mind was exhausted. You may have measured your worth by who stayed, who left, who apologized, who ignored you, who celebrated you, who questioned you. But now, the old hunger is dying. The need to be seen by those who wounded you is losing its power. The desire to prove that they were wrong no longer rules your spirit. Peace is rising where panic used to live. And this peace is not ordinary. It is not the peace of perfect circumstances. It is the peace of a surrendered soul. It is the sacred signal that the blessing has already begun inside you. Lewis's Christian writings often point toward this truth. The human heart remains restless when it tries to make the world its final home. But it begins to rest when it returns to God as its true center. That is what God is doing in you. He is pulling your heart away from shallow approval and anchoring it in eternal ground. He is teaching you how to receive without worshipping the gift, how to rise without becoming proud, how to be blessed without forgetting the blesser. This is why the next season can come. God can trust a quiet soul with a loud breakthrough. He can trust a humble heart with visible increase. He can trust a surrendered vessel with abundance, restoration, divine provision, and influence. Because the blessing will not become your idol. So do not despise this calm. Do not think nothing is happening because you are no longer frantic. This stillness is not emptiness, it is evidence. It is proof that the old chains are breaking inside before the new doors open outside. If you feel God building peace inside you before everything around you changes, command, "My soul is ready." Like this video to mark this sacred moment. Subscribe for more prophetic Christian messages, and share this with someone who needs peace tonight. Because now comes the final secret, the hidden key that shows you how to carry the blessing without losing it. And now comes the final secret, the hidden key that seals all 7 signs. The blessing must be carried through surrender. Chosen one. This is the part you cannot miss, because many people recognize the signs, feel the shift, sense the breakthrough, and still lose their peace at the threshold because they try to carry a new blessing with an old spirit. God is not only bringing something to your hands, He is anchoring something deeper in your heart. The final key is not control. It is surrender, not panic. Surrender. Not forcing doors. Surrender. Not dragging old chains through a divine doorway and calling it faith. Surrender. You cannot step into an appointed season while still worshipping the fear that ruled the last one. You cannot receive kingdom provision while your heart is still bowing to bitterness, pride, revenge, or desperation. This is why the wilderness had to train you. This is why the delay had to test you. This is why isolation had to quiet the voices around you. God was not simply preparing a blessing for you. He was preparing a vessel strong enough, humble enough, and clean enough to hold it. And this is where the message becomes urgent. When the door opens, do not run through it carrying the same anxiety that nearly broke you. Do not let the people who doubted you become the center of your victory. Do not make your blessing a weapon to prove your worth. Lay that down. Give God the need to be understood. Give Him the anger that still tightens your chest. Give Him the future you keep trying to control with tired hands. Surrender is not weakness. It is spiritual alignment. It is the moment your soul says, "Lord, I trust your timing more than my fear, your wisdom more than my plan, your promise more than my pain. See, once, Lewis often emphasized through his writings that the deepest Christian life begins when the human will stops pretending it can save itself and finally yields to God. That is the holy posture now required of you. Stop chasing the blessing and return to the blesser. Stop trying to pry open what only God can release. The door is not opened by striving, it is entered by obedience. And if this message has reached you, do not leave without making your declaration, because the final activation is waiting for your faith. Now, chosen one, this is your faith activation. Do not leave this moment empty-handed. God is not finished with you. The storm did not bury you. It prepared you. The silence did not erase you. It trained your hearing. The delay did not deny you. It strengthened your spirit for the appointed season. Every closed door, every lonely night, every tear you could not explain, every battle that forced you to pray with a shaking voice was part of a deeper preparation than your eyes could understand. But now the message is clear. The divine threshold is before you. The old chains are breaking. The hidden work is becoming visible. The same God who carried you through the wilderness is able to open the floodgates of restoration, provision, peace, wisdom, favor, and breakthrough in the exact moment He has appointed. So lift your heart, not in fear, but in surrender. Lift your hands, not to beg from panic, but to receive with faith. Say this boldly in your spirit: I am ready. Lead me into my appointed season. And if this message has touched the hidden place in your life, write that declaration in the comments: I am ready. Lead me into my appointed season. Let it be more than words. Let it be a sacred signal that you are no longer clinging to the past, no longer bowing to delay, no longer measuring God's promise by yesterday's pain. Like this video to mark this moment of faith. Subscribe to this channel if you want to keep receiving prophetic Christian encouragement for the season God is leading you into. Share this message with someone who has been standing alone, waiting for a sign, fighting through pressure, or wondering whether God still sees them. They need to hear that the wilderness was not the end. They need to know that the fire did not consume them. They need to remember that heaven still has a blueprint for their life. And as you move forward from this moment, stay humble, stay prayerful, stay awake.